Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Tea Talk Podcast, brought to you by DriftinThreads.com. Use code TEATALK for 10% off at checkout. Dana, how are you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. What's new? How you feeling this week? How's your week going? What's popping?
It's going well, man. Just back in the groove, doing things. Um, Last tea talk was pretty good. I liked the topics and everything. So, um, I don't know. Hopefully this week's is good as well.
Yeah, I
Hopefully the
think
numbers
I
keep
think it
growing.
is going to be because we do have an awesome set of topics that we have for today, or not just topics. We do have one generalized topic. Dana, I think weak men brought us to where we are today. How do you
Overall,
feel about that? Yeah, I think overall, I think there's a bunch of things that contributed to it, right? But I think one of the biggest things that we could say is that weak men contributed to where we are today. Just where everybody is, why people are so sensitive, stuff like that. How do you feel about that?
yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it's a lack of leadership from men and an overall demonization of men across the board. And I think as we've allowed that to happen, yeah, things have definitely gotten worse.
I agree. 100%. And I think a lot of it has to do with, boys are not being taught to be men. You think I think that's what it is. It's just boys are not being taught to be men, especially with the fact that we do live in a society where most marriages end in divorce. So a lot of people don't have that strong male role model in the sense that if they, grow up with a single mother or something like that, they won't have um, that strong male role model that they need. And I think it's a very important thing for a boy to have. I think they need that strong male role model from a young age. I really think they do. I think it applies so many innate things just having a strong male role model around does to a young gentleman. So I think it's very
hmm
important for the development of a child. And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's extremely important. Just like having a mother is extremely important. But it's important in its own way.
How so?
Well, I mean, your parents just they both fulfill different roles. Mother takes care of kind of the nurturing, and the male guides you. Gives you guidance and takes you through the hard times and helps you deal with things and
Yeah.
shows you how to I mean, especially for boys, how to grow up into a man and
hmm
yeah.
Like there's a lot of important lessons that I think I learned from my dad that were never taught to me by my mom. But that my mom couldn't teach me. You know what I mean? Like there's some things that only a father can teach his son. Honestly, there's only some things that a father can teach his son. Um, and that's why I think it's very important that children grow up in that kind of home, in a family with a strong male role model and a mom. You know what I mean? Because that's very important. Having that balance is important. And now that's not saying that you're going to turn out bad if you don't have a strong male role model, but it does increase the odds. For example, if a boy does not have a father figure by the time he becomes an adult, he's more likely to be more insecure, have more self-doubt. We also did find from an article from Men's Group a couple of interesting things here. Boys who became men without positive male role models in their lives are often more likely to end up in a life of crime, end up in jail as addicts, or are more likely to participate in high-risk activities. So, I mean, it's not a mistake. This isn't some mistake in the science that boys need dads. This is like something that is proven, that has been proven throughout the time. So, Dana, why do you think they're trying to normalize boys growing up with more emotional freedom and being more in tune with your emotions and softer. Why do you think they want that?
Well, I think a lot of that is coming from the people that want they want to get rid of the patriarchy. I think a lot of it comes from that. But the interesting thing is like the whole patriarchy thing is actually a good thing. That's how it's supposed to be. Um, I mean, if you read into, I mean, just all throughout history, I mean, that's how societies have been, and as soon as you start getting rid of, that structure that comes with that, you start tearing apart, you know, basic human, like, you know, I don't know, the way people operate with each other. It's just, it doesn't work. It falls apart.
Yeah,
So,
and I love I really really like, how you decided to say that it's I just completely lost my train of, I just completely randomly lost my train of thought. Like what? I completely lost my train of thought. Completely. That's terrible of me. I'm so mad. Start talking still. Like, just take her away. Take her away. I'm just god like what? I just blanked like completely. Has that ever happened to you? Like completely blanked?
yes,
I, like mid
happens to me a
sentence.
lot.
Mid sentence.
Hmm.
Dang it. I was like really excited for
Um,
what I was going to ask too.
um, yeah, no, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a good thing once you remove male role models from society and, um, demonize them. I think that's a big problem. Is the demonization of just masculinity across the board.
Mhm.
Because I think that leads to men being scared of being men, and um, I think that's where a lot of these problems come from. I think that's why you see a lot of these guys trying to transition into women. You see a lot of these, I don't know, guys who kind of do whatever their wife tells them to do. That's it. Like,
Mhm.
they don't think for themselves at all. It's just emasculating, these guys.
For
And
sure.
yeah, I mean, it's just, and then the kids who grow up with that, I mean, they turn out even worse.
They're
So,
not
because I
ending
mean,
up,
they're,
yeah. They're not ending up like
yeah.
normal kids. Like here's something. We had a system, right, that worked. That worked. Nobody can make the argument that a good family household, in a normal family, we'll say the nuclear family, right? Mother, father, two kids. Nobody can
Hmm.
tell me that growing up in a stable household has led to negative effects. Nobody. If you grew
Yeah.
up in a stable household and you're going to try to argue to me that is the reason why, for some reason that you're, worse than somebody at something, no way. No way. No way. We know that it is proven that works. Having strong family values works. It prepares kids for when they have their own families. But now something that we're seeing is these men, right? These boys, they're not being taught to be men, right? As we mentioned. But what's happening now because of that? Birth rates. Dana, have you looked at birth rates at all?
I haven't looked at the numbers, but all I've been hearing is that there's a decline across the
Super
board. I don't think it's
scary.
just the West.
Super scary. Across the
Yeah.
board, we're seeing across the globe, less people are having children. Now, you're going to hear the left say things like, oh, well, people don't have money. People don't have this. That's not the reason at all. That's not the reason at all. They don't
Well,
want you
a
to
lot of
have
time,
kids, I think. I think.
yeah, a lot of the time they celebrate the left has been celebrating lack of children or
Exactly.
being a couple without kids or being a strong independent woman or
Who
man
doesn't need
without
kids? Or who, yeah, exactly.
without kids or without a partner or whatever. I mean, it's just that's not that's not human. I mean, that's not even like life in general is there to reproduce and create more.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
Like,
the most basic thing ever.
if
I
we were
mean,
not meant
that
to
that's
reproduce,
fundamental.
why would we even have the capability? If we were not meant to have children, why would we have the capability to have children? Like, we should be populating the earth. That's what God told us to do, right? If we want to go ahead and bring back a little the topic from last week from 22 Guys. We talked about the war on Christianity. In the Bible, God says get married, have kids. He wants you to get married and have kids. Okay, now let's bring it here today where you're now having people that they're saying, oh, but you don't need a dad to have kids anymore because we're going to remove the male from it entirely. Now, I heard a couple girls talking about this the other day when I was walking to work. A couple girls were talking about, oh, we don't need men anymore to get pregnant. And I'm thinking in my head, oh, that's really funny because they clearly did not read what they're referencing because I know exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about the lab that was able to fertilize an egg without the need of a male. Dana, did you hear about that? That what happened? They were able to do that, stuff like that. Cool, awesome. Breakthroughs in science. Every single one of these babies died. Like weeks after they fertilized the egg. They all died. It's not happening. Soon as you try to fight nature, nature's going to fight right back. And I think that's what's happening now. You mentioned it yourself when they talked about they're trying to emasculate men. And I think what's happening is they want to. I think they are trying to do it. I don't think it's a mistake.
Who's
I don't think
they?
The left. I'm going to say the left right now. I think, well,
Okay.
I don't think it's just the left. I'm going to say they. They want to emasculate men because they want birth rates to go down for multiple reasons.
Yeah, but who is they though?
They.
Who's the person or the organization or the group behind
Are we
that?
How deep?
Well, I know that you thought about this for a while. Let's keep it surface level.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking
a little bit deeper than they.
Little bit deeper than they. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The left is trying to emasculate men.
Okay.
The reasoning why the left is trying to emasculate men is because, well, there's a lot of different reasons. For one, if they emasculate men, they don't have strong men anymore, and then they realize that the bullshit that they're trying to push down your throats won't work because you'll be too smart. You will legitimately be too smart. So part of it is making you stupider. Emasculating men is making people stupider. And it's happening. Because in schools now you're trying to push stuff that just does not make sense and should not be taught in schools. And the problem is you don't have strong male role models to be able to fight back against these things because they have tried to destroy a generation. And when I say they, I'm talking about the left. They have tried to destroy a generation of strong men because I think it makes things easier for them. They could push the climate change narrative, right? They're able to push that. Oh, if there's less people on the earth, right, then the effects that humans have on climate change won't be as much. That's their argument. That's what the argument is. I mean, it's obvious. But I think it's really sinister, the fact that they're attacking men because of it. Because it does get kind of crazy when you start saying that, like, oh, toxic masculinity. Dana, 10 years ago, toxic masculinity wasn't a thing.
Right.
You're going to tell me a millennia, like centuries, thousands of years of history, men in history, and you're going to say toxic masculinity was around that entire time? Absolute bullshit. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
What do you think? They just magically started using toxic masculinity.
Well, it was a slow and then quick transition to hating men.
Can you explain like the entire thing?
Not really. But it did. I mean, I think it started with, feminism. When feminism came around,
yeah,
and all these movements to give women more rights, that's great and all. I mean, women should be equal, right? But at the same time, that came with a bunch of costs. And ultimately, I think a lot of people, including women, would agree, if they're thinking right, that having these rights are great, but tradition kind of works better. And that's not saying, like, you know, the man is a greater person and the woman isn't. They're not
Mhm.
as important. No, they just fulfill different roles,
Exactly.
and the traditional roles work. They
Exactly.
do,
Exactly.
and
That's what I say too.
that's what's important to recognize there. And again, I'm clarifying that doesn't reduce the need for women or men, or women can't work or women can't be independent, whatever. No, that doesn't remove that fact, but at the same time, go back to tradition and look at how that benefited society.
Yeah, there's the old adage, if you say, if it works, don't fix it, right? So
Yeah.
why, if we had a system that works, why would people want to go out of their way to change it? It's almost like there's an ulterior motive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like they're trying to do these things because they're trying to push a narrative to you guys. It's like Dana and I have been saying this every episode of Tea Talk. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, me and you get it, obviously. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do enjoy what you do see, like and subscribe. It does help out a ton, and we love it and appreciate it. But in the meantime, men, the world, it's important for men to be in this world. And the reason why I'm stressing that so much is because now I think we're at a little bit of a tipping point. I think we're at a point now where we're starting to see the man, being a man, because we know what that means, right? To be a man, we know what that means. Some people don't know what that means, and they're trying to change the definition of what being a man is, okay? And we can't let them do that. A man is a person that's going to show great respect, brotherhood, strength, no matter what. No matter what. That's the role that men have, and that's what Dana was talking about a little bit, those traditional gender roles, okay? Those are
Yeah, like
important.
on the flip side, there's the women too. They
Yeah,
have
they
their
have
own
their own
thing
roles as
too.
well. They have, and like we're saying, we're not putting down women in any way this episode by having this episode. That's not the point of this episode. The point, women are very important, and they have their gender roles as well, right? They have their roles that they have to do as women. We as men have our specific things, and these are things women can't talk about. These are things women can't have an opinion on because they don't live it. Okay, and that's also the issue with the entire trans movement, I think.
I disagree.
Really?
I think, yeah, I think anyone can have an opinion on anything, and that they can, um, you know, formulate their own ideas about things.
Okay,
Um,
sure. Okay, yes, but you know that that's not the point I was trying to make.
that's what you said, so
But
I'm just going based off
that's
that.
not the point I'm trying to make.
Continue.
Women have no right to be telling a man how to be a man. Have no right.
Mostly.
They have no right to even dictate what a man is because they don't know. And that is why a woman cannot become a man. Fundamentally, a woman can never become a man because we go through
Right.
different things than they do. Not just physical things. I'm even on the mental side of things. Our brains work differently. And that's a great thing about
Physical,
being people.
mental, societal.
Everything. Okay? And last time I checked, when New York City was being built, who was on top of these, 100-story tall buildings? So don't go to try to tell me that, men are toxic or masculinity is toxic, because masculinity is what literally built the world that you live in.
Well, I don't think that's you can't really just say that. That's not an excuse. And I think the toxic masculinity thing comes from the whole patriarchy
I
aspect.
think
And they're,
I think it's hoopla. I
they're
think toxic masculinity itself as a whole is
I
bullshit.
th- I think there's some merit to that, but not to the point where they're taking it. I think that's where a lot of this comes from. Like, I think there is merit to feminism, but I don't think that definitely not to the extent that they take it, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I
Sure.
think a lot of these movements that have been started, like all of them, started with good intentions and quickly got out of hand because they're touchy and there's a line and they keep pushing the line and people won't stand up to the line because they're afraid that, you know, of offending that person or, crushing their movement, or maybe they agree with it but like they don't agree to that extent and they don't really want to challenge that person because they're kind of on their side a little bit. And so it's just, you give them a little bit and they just keep going. And so yeah, I think that's what happened
I
with
don't
a lot
know.
of these different
I
things.
for this one, I think it's weird. I don't know. I don't think so. I like feminism is not bad. I'll say that to the day. Feminism is not bad. Modern feminism is bad.
Well, it's the twisting of the original purpose.
Yeah,
But that's what
like
I'm saying. Like, I think the whole toxic masculinity thing starts like there's a hint of truth to it, but it's not like
where
the
like
whole term
in
is
which
BS.
in which way though is my point, because like
Okay,
they're
so
trying to say that men just being men are toxic, like us being like us horse playing is toxic masculinity, like two little boys wrestling
exactly,
on the
that's too
playground is
far.
toxic masculinity. No, it's
Yeah,
not, dude.
it's too far.
Like I agree. I think it's too far, but at the same time, I think the entire thing by itself, I think them saying toxic masculinity started off as bullshit. It started out out of nowhere, man. And it really did play. I think, like you said, it did help make men weak. I think when the media
Okay,
and
well,
people started saying, like, oh, toxic masculinity this, toxic masculinity that, men were afraid to be men.
yes, but I think that there is definitely toxic males out there, and I think that's where it
Sure,
stems from.
there's
Like
toxic men
the
and
guy
there's
who's
toxic
trying to,
women, though.
yes, I know, but we're talking about men. There's men that are, rapey, and there's men that are,
Well, then they're not
all those different
toxic.
types
They're
of things. And
rapists.
right, but
Like, but
that's
they,
kind
but
of where
that's my point,
hold
though.
on. Don't talk over me. There's a thing that like that toxicity comes from that. And that's where they started. So,
Okay, and by the way, I'm not talking
but
over you in a conversation. It's just people talk, right? So it's like if you just wait
I
and
know.
you talk. So that's just what's happening right now.
It's
So
yeah, no,
like,
I know, but it's for the it's for the audio purposes.
I get that. It's a podcast. It's a show with
Mhm.
live talking. They can get over that. So what you say is 100% correct, but I just don't think that toxic masculinity specifically is bullshit. Call those men what they are. Exactly what you said. Some men are rapey. Those men are rapists. They're not toxic. They're not masculine. They're not men. If they're doing that shit, they're not men. That's not what a man is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not. It's an entire thing. It's an entire thing. It's not as simple as just saying, "Oh, you're toxic masculinity," because they started saying all masculinity is toxic,
Mhm.
right? And that's why we're seeing femboys, bro. I'm just gonna say it. That's why we're seeing femboys. That's why we see these soft ass fucking kids. There are men who are my age who have the skin of a baby's ass. Why are there men who are my age who are on full like facial routines and shit every night, man? Like, that's not a man. You're not a man if you're worried about that shit. You're not. Honestly. You want to know what a man has to worry about?
Okay.
His family? How am I going to put food on the table?
I think that's a very stupid argument.
I
think that
don't.
is
I
really
don't.
dumb.
I think
I
they're
don't think that
making
has
boys into
any-
girls. I think they're trying to kill masculinity entirely. That's my fucking
don't-
argument today.
Yeah. Okay, but I don't think taking care of your skin is a problem.
I'm not saying taking care of your
men.
skin. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Well, that's
Some people have problems with acne. That's one thing.
okay. That's part of a facial routine is
Yeah.
taking care of your skin.
Yeah, but
So
okay.
yeah.
Makeup though
But
too and all that shit.
Yeah, that's different. But coming back to, I mean, when you started going off about toxic masculinity, again, you just missed my point. I mean, I was saying that it starts from a place of truth and they take it too
See,
far.
I didn't miss your point. I
Yeah,
don't
you
agree
did.
with you. That's not missing your point. I don't think that's right. So now I'm
Yeah, but
talking to
you
you
just
about it.
yeah, I know, but you explained it as if it's not a thing that ever existed.
I
And that
I
I mean, you said those toxic
I
men are not
don't.
men, so it doesn't match the term.
No, no, no. What I'm saying is the rapey men are not men. Because that's
Okay.
what I said. I said the rapey men are not men.
But they're technically
Men don't do that.
men. They're technically male.
Fine. They don't act like men. Is that better?
Yeah,
They
but
don't
that doesn't
act like
change
men.
my point. That doesn't change my point.
Okay, but my point is it's not toxic masculinity, though. That's not toxic masculinity. That's just being a
No,
rapist. That's
but
just
that's
being
where
rapey.
that yeah, yeah. But that's where the term came from.
I don't
It
think.
came from things like that.
I'm not sure about that.
Pretty sure that's where that term came from. Is men being like that towards women.
No,
But
the
again, then they
term
used
toxic
it as
masculinity actually originated in the 1980s and was coined by Shepard Bliss
okay.
because of his father's militarized authoritarian masculinity. So the reason why the term was coined is
So
because a son did not like that his dad was fucking masculine.
okay. Well, the funny thing is that is not how the term is used at all in the modern day, and that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
So, but again, and do you want to know what the funny thing about this is? A man said
What?
it.
Yes. But that again, that's not relevant at all to the modern day use of the term.
But the thing is, when I started hearing toxic masculinity, is the same time when we heard about what was it called, the with the seat, mansplaining, or stuff like that,
Manspreading.
manspreading, around the same time. It
Yep.
was around that same time because I need to have my legs open a little bit wider than women do. I'm toxic.
Yeah. So see, that use of the term had nothing to do with
So,
modern.
but I think they started using toxic masculinity to attack men in general. I don't
Yes,
think
they
it was
did.
used.
They
I don't think
did.
it
They
was
used.
used because to describe rapey men. I think they
No, I
used the
think that's
term
where it
again.
started from.
I think
I think that's where the term started from, and then they used it as a blanket term for everything that men did that they didn't like. Anything about a man that they didn't like, they used that term. It's the same thing with racism. Anything anyone does, boom, instant racist. That's
I
that's what they do with every term.
that's true. For this specifically though, I don't know, dude, because like this one they literally would only use it when they were shit talking us for everything a man did naturally. I have not
Yes.
ever heard toxic masculinity ever used in a proper way. Ever. Ever. That's why I'm saying I don't think it was
Okay.
used in a good way. Ever.
It was never used in a good way, but it's coming. I think the whole, even thinking about the term in general, comes from actual men being, you know, awful men, like just doing bad things as a man. That I think that's where the term originally started from, not including the guy who coined the actual term. I'm talking about like the way it's being used. I think that's where it came from, and that's where it got popular. But then women started using that as a blanket term for everything that a man did that they didn't like.
I mean, I'm reading up on it a little bit here. Actually learning the why they started using the term here.
Okay.
It's off of a study in 2005 actually going into it. The study was by Coopers in 2005. That's Cooper spelled Kupers,
Okay.
which is like the worst way to spell Coopers on the planet. Why would you even do that? Just do Cooper. It's way easier.
I think if you go back to the modern use of the term, you would start seeing it pop up around anytime after 2016, I would say. It's probably where it started getting popular. So I would use references around that time if you're going to try and find
Yeah, I'm
something
looking for it.
related to it. But I don't see how that's that important to the topic that we're talking about.
Once started to be used again in the 2010s, the term was mostly used to refer to traditional and stereotypical norms of masculinity and manhood. I want to focus on that really quickly. They used it specifically to hold on, where is it?
To attack the patriarchy.
Yes, to attack the attack the patriarchy, but to refer to traditional, which we mentioned earlier, traditional norms of masculinity and manhood. So, like, that's what I'm saying. They just started using it again to attack what makes a man a man.
That's what I'm saying too.
But that's not what you were saying. What you were saying is they started using it again to describe something else, and I have the proof right here showing that that's not the case.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the term started from a decent place, most likely, and it was eventually adopted and used as a blanket term to attack men. That is what I'm saying. It's the same thing with a lot of other terms that are being used. Like, for example, Black Lives Matter was created as a term to support, the fight for equal rights for Black people, right?
Yeah.
That was the use of the term, and specifically was targeting, the police brutality and all that. Eventually, it was adopted by an organization and used for bad.
Well, yeah.
To basically steal from the Black community.
And that's what they did.
Essentially what happened. Yes.
But yeah, so toxic masculinity, the usage of the toxic masculinity, though, we only hear it because they want to attack men. I think that's why, right. And that's why I think that's a problem. That's the entire point here. They don't want men to be men anymore. They want men to be girls. Mm-hmm. They don't want men to be men. Mm-hmm. They want men to think with their feelings. They want men to think with all that shit, and it's just not right. It's not. It's because it's stupid. It's stupid. They made us weak. They made us weak. I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about people in general. By them doing this, it made us weak because they literally took control of a generation of kids, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it... They worked to make us weak. I think ultimately it was up to men to stop it. And they didn't. And this is what happened.
I don't think it's that easy. So, I think if something is so deeply rooted, I think it or so well planned and has been tried to be done for a very long time, I think it's hard when you're born into the system that's doing it to you.
Yes. But that's why it's up to your dad and your dad's generation to protect against that. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, see, but based off of what you said, though, if men are gonna stand it up, that means that they have to do it. I'm just fucking with you. You know I am. I'm just kidding. I was kidding. I was taking your words too literally, just like you did to my own words. That was the point of the joke.
Didn't get it at all.
That's fine. That's why I explained it to you.
Still doesn't make sense.
That's fine. I don't need it to make sense.
Okay.
Dana's doing the Dana. If you guys don't know what it's called.
No, I'm not. I'm being 100% serious.
No, like I was making a joke. Like actually.
Yeah,
you don't get the joke. So okay, when I said the thing when I said earlier, you took my words literally literal, like word for word what I said. So I did the same exact thing for you, as to be funny as a joke. I don't remember the exact words. Who gives a fuck? Just drop it.
Okay.
You didn't get the joke. Whatever.
No.
But I will take the opportunity to say, when I was younger, I have a story for you guys. Because I'm going to tell you guys. My dad did what he had to do. Taught me how to be a man. Okay. When I was younger, I was playing baseball. Okay. And one day I got hit by the ball. I remember exactly where I was too. The ball got hit. Ball hit me. I stopped the ball, though. That's a good point. I did stop the ball. Did not go past me because it hit me. But I remember I got on the ground and I was crying. I was so sad. I was screaming. And my dad gets on the field and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, what the hell are you doing?" Like, grabs me. What are you doing? I was like, "The ball hit me. I was hurt." He goes, yeah, the ball hit you. What are you going to do about it? The ball hit you. So get up and keep playing the game. And so what I did from that moment was I got up and I kept playing the game. And that's a very, very, very important life lesson there. Because men need to be taught that. Men need to be taught, hey, if something happens to you in your life, pick yourself up. Nobody else is going to save you. You're the only person that is going to save you. And that's true. You can't rely on anybody else. The only person you can rely on is yourself. The only person that determines anything you do is yourself. And this is something that, fathers usually teach their sons and stuff like that. And that's something that my dad taught me that day. And I remember after I got up, I didn't even think about getting the ball hitting me after that. I didn't even remember it. But it's like we need moments like that. Boys need those moments in their lives in order to develop properly. Because if they don't get those moments, they don't develop properly. Do you think that, Dana?
Sure.
Why?
Why do I believe that?
Yeah, why do you believe that? For the audience, no one-word answers. Come on, we can't be boring for them. They gotta get a little bit of something in this.
Well, I'm trying to get what the point of the, what you said was, but sure. I mean, I guess, yeah. If you have moments in your life, you're gonna learn from them.
Yeah, like they need moments like that, though. They need those moments with their dad, like somebody to tell them, like, hey, like you're gonna get hit, but you got to pick yourself up. You know what I mean? That's something a dad teaches a son. You know what I mean? Like it's moments, it's specific moments. I mean, though, it's like you need those certain core memories in order to develop properly.
Okay.
Do you agree with that? Do you need those certain core memories to develop properly?
I think it's just it adds life experience. I don't think you need it, all of it.
Why not?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to look at everybody's individual life experience to see what they learn from it. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've had moments like that too. I mean, I didn't need anyone to tell me to get up and do whatever. That was fine. Um, I mean, I bet in my past, my dad's probably helped me out if
Well,
I've been injured.
I guess the
Same thing
better
with my
question
mom.
would ask.
Same thing with my grandparents.
I think the better question would be, because you're focusing too much on the part that I got injured. I'm just trying to say the fact that, do you think, what are some lessons that your dad taught you that your mom cannot or would not be able to teach you?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess I guess it would be more so just anything that had to do with taking care of your family and just being a man. But I mean, that's basic in my opinion. I don't know anything specific, and that's a pretty blanket thing. Um, but I mean, with my situation, my parents were split, so it would I had both parents kind of doing both roles the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that, but it's very unique. Do you think that you turned out better that you still had that strong male role model, though? Because you still had the strong male role model, is my point, though.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that you turned out better than somebody that would have would have grown up their entire life in like a single mother household?
Definitely, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like that's what I'm saying too. I don't think people realize how much growing up in a household with both parents, like how much of an advantage that gives somebody. Actually, that's just based off of the stuff that we saw before, guys. The stuff that we saw before.
Yeah.
The study, even having both your parents, like that's why you need both those roles. That's why I'm saying it's crucial. That's why I'm saying that a person will not develop correctly unless they get both of those roles. It's because we always see situations when it comes to an extreme. So a single mother, single father, we'll see that those kids kind of turn out a little bit different. Okay? That's why you need that happy balance. You need that happy balance, and in order to get that proper development, you need that side of both worlds. But the thing about a boy is, it's like men cannot think with their emotions. I think that's an important thing that a man has to teach himself, or that a man has to teach another man. Boys should not think with their emotions. That's when you get shit like terrorist attacks. That's just honestly speaking. That's when you get like mass shootings and stuff like that. It's when a man's thinking with his emotions. Men are
that doesn't mean you shouldn't think about your emotions.
Yes.
Or talk about them or whatever. Just means the final decision maker should be the logical side of your
brain. Yeah, logic rather than emotion. And I think one way that the left has really, really attacked men and attacked masculinity is tricking men into making decisions, important decisions, with their emotions rather than with logic. For example, to chop off your own penis is an emotional decision, definitely not a logical decision. To take chemicals that would castrate you for the rest of your life is a emotional decision and not a logical decision. I think that was the single biggest thing that the left did to men, to destroy men, because now I think we have a lot of work to like get back to where we were, right? I think by them doing that, by them allowing and tricking men into thinking emotionally rather than logically, is the biggest thing, like out of everything. What do you think about it? Do you think it's the biggest? Where does that like sit with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. Not great for men.
Why? Explain. Go in depth.
For many reasons. I mean, from any guy's perspective, I mean, that's the one thing you look down at and you feel happy about. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I think yeah, I don't know. It's just it's kind of a weird topic, but I think that men would not be the same without their friend downstairs.
Yeah, no, like that. I'm saying though, like, can you go a little bit more in depth with the men thinking emotionally rather than logically?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. If it really comes down to the decision making part. You need to be making decisions based on logic, not your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You will always have emotions, and you will need to know how to handle those emotions. I mean, I had this conversation with you, you know, like a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, that's a big thing for a lot of people. Is just, I mean, that's why the therapists exist. You need to be able to work through emotions and then make a logical decision when your head is clear. It's very important to do that.
I don't think
because if you act on emotions, bad things will happen.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
A lot of the time, like, guys, no
or
joke.
You'll make stupid decisions.
Yeah,
or,
stuff you'll
like
regret. Stuff you'll regret.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about therapy really quick. I don't think it's legit.
I'm very torn on that.
I think I'm 50-50 with it too. I honestly am totally 50-50 with it. But I do not think it's like I can go either way, honestly. I'm not going to say one.
Let's include our bias here. Both you and I have been to therapy.
Yeah.
And have both had bad experiences.
Yeah.
So let's put that there first. I know plenty of people who have been to therapy and it's been life-changing for them.
Yeah.
So I think it's case by case. I think it's based on the therapist you get. I think it's based on, how you connect with that person and how much you trust them and everything and how much time you put into it.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I don't think you need a therapist. You can just talk to people in general.
That's what I think. That's what I think.
Or you can handle it. You can handle it yourself some of the time too, depending on who you are. But people are different. Everyone is different. There's people that fit more to certain things than others. And I think there's certain people that can do therapy and do great with it, and there's other people who just can't do therapy. And I personally believe I am one of those people that just is. I can't put myself into therapy and do what
Can
the
I
therapist
can I
says
tell
to
you
do, because it
why?
just
Can I
doesn't
tell
make
you
sense to
why I
me.
think you're one of those people?
Sure.
It's because I think
Sure.
it's copium, dude. I think it's honestly, I think therapy works for people that are weak-minded. I'm not lying. And I don't mean that in a mean way. Like, I just, honestly speaking, I think therapy works on those who are weak-minded. And I don't mean that in a mean way, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not meaning like people who it works on are stupid. I'm just saying
It's
like,
people that can't handle dealing with a lot of different things, a lot of different problems, a lot of their own problems. They can't think outside of themselves. I think that's a huge part of it, is being able to pull yourself back and look at your situation from an aerial view as if you aren't yourself, and look at all different sides. I think if you can't do something like that, which, I mean, there's definitely people who can't do that, and I think most people can't do
I
that.
think
But
that's when you need
if
one.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, because that other person gives you that extra
Yeah, that's
perspective.
why I think it's bullshit.
And
I think it's just
but
that's.
I don't think it's weak-minded though, and I don't think that they're not
I mean, that
helpful.
would be being
Um,
weak-minded. Like, I think it's being
no, it's
weak-minded. If you're
I
not
don't
able
think
to,
so.
if you're
I
not
think it's
able to
just
visualize these things yourself, if you're not able to visualize those things yourself, I don't think it's
I
what's it
think
called?
that's a pretty self-centered way of looking at things. I think that everyone is different and everyone has their own strengths and
Yeah,
weaknesses.
for sure.
So
I,
some
I don't think
people's
that's
weaknesses
self-centered.
are that.
I think that I don't think that's
Well, you're
self-centered. I don't think that's
No, no,
self-centered
no,
at
no, no.
all.
That's not self-centered. The self-centered part is looking at those people as weak-minded, people who aren't like
That's not
you.
self-centered. That's just me making an
That is self-centered.
observation. That's just me making an observation. I'm not saying that because I'm saying I'm better than those people. I'm just saying that they're weak-minded. It doesn't.
Yeah, I
Stop
don't.
looking at the word weak-minded like it's a negative thing. I'm not saying it like a negative thing. I'm just saying that they're not able to make those connections themselves in their head. That's why they need to speak to somebody else. That's what weak-minded
Yeah,
means. It
but I don't.
doesn't mean that they're stupid or
No, I
something
don't
like
think.
that.
Yeah, I don't think that's what that means. I don't think that that's weak-minded. I mean, yeah, it's just a different way of looking at things, or a different way of experiencing things.
Somebody is not able to understand something themselves. So fine, I'll use the more politically correct term. Not smart enough to.
It's not even that. Like, I really don't think it has anything to do with intelligence.
I think it does. I think if you're able to look at, I think if you're able to look at your situation and you're able to say, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way. You're smart enough to figure out why you're feeling a certain way, and you're able to change, then identify the issues. That's what I do. That's why I don't do therapy. I
All
don't
right.
need therapy. I won't ever do therapy. Talking with my dad is enough therapy as I need, because he will teach me more lessons and give me
Yeah, that's
better
another
insight.
person though.
Yeah,
That's
that's
another
what I was going to
person
say.
though.
That's what I'm. Hold on, hold on. I'm not
He's
done.
acting as your therapist.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say.
So
If
you're
he,
weak-minded.
I'm not weak-minded. What I am doing is I'm using him as insight. I understand the situation I am in, but now I'm using him to say, okay, well, what are some things that you may do? I'm using him as a reference
Okay.
point, not
So
as trying to
okay.
get the answer, but using him as a, okay, I got the answer myself, which is what I do. That's what I taught myself to do
Well,
from a
you're
young age. I stopped relying on other people. So I made myself reliant on me for everything, which I think is a man's way of living. I think
yeah,
if
he would
you
be the
make your,
other side of therapy, which is the part where they teach you how to work through the problems.
not even work through it. Yeah, you could say work through it. You could say work through it. It's just I use him for more of a like yeah, you could say work through it. I think that's like the best way to put it. I also like bouncing things off of him too, you know what I mean?
Well, that's working through it.
Yeah, working through it. Okay. So, yeah, working through it. He helps me work through it. I don't need a therapist to tell me like what my issues are or whatever like that. I can identify issues and figure out solutions myself. Yeah, he just helps me
Well, not all of
visualize.
therapy is finding out what your problems are. Some of them is figuring out how to deal with the problems that you know exist. And you have therapists that can help you with different things. There's therapists that specialize in different aspects
I just I
of problems. I mean, I think it is legit in a lot of ways. I just think there's certain things that some people cannot handle with therapy, and
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
weird about it. I'm weird about it. Like I said, I think these people are just trained to teach
Well,
people, like to
again,
trick people that they feel better. I think that way.
I think there are some that are that they are. Yeah, I think there's very few therapists that are actually good. Just like every profession, I think there's a lot of. I think the majority of people are just there to make money and they don't care. And the rest of the people, like the really small few, actually do a good job. And so yeah, and but even I mean, even if they are there just as a person to talk to, that
Yeah.
helps a lot of
That
people.
no, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure.
So it is legit.
I think sure talking to people and stuff like that will help you for sure. But then that's just talking to people. You know what I mean? If we
Yeah.
want to use that as a basis to say that sure therapy does work, sure, I'll agree with you on that because it does. You can't argue that. You could say that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say though? I just think it's bullshit.
Mhm.
Like I just think it's
No, I
bullshit.
totally get. I've thought about that actually.
Like
I mean,
I
I've
think it's
totally thought
bullshit.
about that,
Like,
and I've
it
thought about this a
helps
lot
though. It
because
can help though. I just think that like
yeah,
I don't think it helps people for the reason why it helps them. I think that's a better way to word what I'm trying to say. I I don't think therapy is
I
more
think
of the yes, you go to a therapist to get fixed. I think it's just you go to a therapist, they're talking to you and they help you figure it out. And it's just like it's
yeah.
not like a
Well, I think we're basically on the same page mostly. I think I slightly disagree with you, but I've thought about this like pretty heavily because I've been through this. I mean, I've been through many therapists and I've been through, all of that. And I've talked to people that have been to many
yeah.
therapists and I've been suggested many different things. So, I mean, yeah, I've been through that and I I can see why they would be helpful for many different reasons, not just as a person to talk to, but as someone who can be there to help you
Yeah.
talk through your problems and like come to the realization, oh,
I dropped my phone.
that's where that's stemming from. That's where that's coming from. This is where my problems are. Yeah, all of that. I think that does help people, but I do think there's, you know, like I said, there are certain people that kind of have that vision of therapy as like it's kind of a pseudoscience and
Yeah.
can't actually do the therapy because they psych themselves out. I am one of those people, and you probably are too.
Well, it's
Like
just
you,
I
you kind
saw
of you
like the
go
shit
in
she
with
was
it.
saying. Like I saw that
Yes,
I
exactly,
was like I went
exactly.
for context. I went to one introductory therapy meeting and I saw it was
Was
bullshit
that
this
here?
second. Yes,
Was
the
that
second I walked
was
in.
that here?
And
I went to the same one.
I'm not saying that they are
Is that
that
the
there
only
aren't
therapist you've ever been to?
therapists. Yeah, but I don't need I
Okay,
don't need therapy. I
okay.
don't
So
think
you don't
anybody
actually
needs
know then.
I don't think anybody needs therapy. Honestly. Honestly. I think what okay. Wrong word. Wrong sentence. I don't think anybody needs therapy from a therapist. I think it's exactly what you said. I think some people just
Yes.
need to just talk about their problems and touch base with somebody to like I don't think you need to be paying somebody $500 an hour to fucking fix your problems. I think that's
Right.
bullshit. I think
Right.
that's
But they
100%
they
bullshit.
do they do have some experience that other people don't have
Yeah.
that may be useful to you
It
in your specific situation.
I yeah,
But that's not
sure.
I'm not even bringing that up.
I'm
Like
not saying
I
that it
totally get what
doesn't
you're saying
work. I'm
and
not saying that it doesn't
yeah,
work.
yeah.
I'm just saying
Well,
that
I'm
it's just bullshit. You know what I
yeah, and
mean? Like
I don't yeah, and I've thought about that and I don't necessarily 100% agree. Like I think there is a lot of it that can be that, but I also think there is certain situations where it can actually help a lot
it
for
can't.
certain
Yeah, no,
people
yeah, yeah.
and that
It could
experience
help a
comes in
fuckload. It
and
could
yeah.
help a fuckload. It totally can. Totally
Yeah,
can.
and even and it's also the reason why you're talking to this other person, they're supposed to be a neutral party.
Mm,
So, I mean, because a lot of other people that you may be talking to may have personal bias in your situation, whereas
okay.
your therapist wouldn't. However, that's also a problem from my perspective, because like the problem I had with therapists is I actually I'll bring up my stepmom because I can talk to her,
Hmm.
and she's basically a therapist. Like she has like she's going back to school for that,
Hmm.
and so I I can talk with her and she can actually get me to remember things that my brain will hide from me.
Yeah.
And she can, and she because she knows my story mostly. Whereas the therapist would not know that story, so I wouldn't ever bring that up, meaning the therapist doesn't get the whole picture, and boom, they can't help me 100%.
Mm-hmm.
They can't ever help me with that problem. And I think that's what's so interesting with having someone like that. But again, she has a personal bias in the situation, so
Yeah.
it's not technically a neutral party. But now that I've talked to her, I can actually kind of pull it out.
Question though.
I did realize. Hold on. When the thing we were talking about, when she brought it up, I was like, no, actually, that's really interesting. That's where a lot of my maybe trust issues come from.
Yeah.
Is from that specific experience that I never even remembered.
Yeah.
So yeah, continue with what you're gonna say.
Do you think that? Okay, so I think that's why I think it's bullshit. Then, do you think it's?
Okay.
Why am I getting 50,000 calls from everybody right now, dude? Like, what is going on? So do you think that it's... So that's why I say therapy is bullshit. It's because, like, do you need the therapist for that? Or just like you said, you just talk to your stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I say therapy is bullshit,
But she's technically going to be a therapist.
But she's not,
So
though.
she technically is a therapist.
But she's not yet, though.
Yes, but it's a therapist in training. So it's someone who's training to be a therapist.
But, like, I don't like that. I don't like that either. I don't like when people say that. You know what I mean? Because, like, then I always think of, like, those fuckers that go to school for one semester and then think they're an expert on a subject.
No, she has a master's degree.
In therapy?
In child development.
Oh, okay. That's different. You didn't tell me that part. You didn't
Yeah,
you didn't mention that.
Just adding on the therapy part.
No, when you said she's going back to school to become a therapist, I was under the impression.
No, she is.
But I was under the impression, because you didn't mention anything before, that she just didn't go to school. Yeah.
No,
you're good.
And she has a master's degree in child development.
All right, that makes way more sense. So yeah. But do you think that, like, me talking to my dad is all I need ever? So,
Sure.
like, do you think it's more of just the act of talking to somebody?
I think in a lot of cases, yes.
So then,
but not in all. I think
that's the reasoning. That's
different.
My reasoning behind why I think it's bullshit. That's it.
Okay, so yeah, but you're just not including the other parts. So yeah, I mean that's essentially what I believe too. I just think that there is the other parts. There are specific circumstances where their experience actually comes into play.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them have kind of a specialization that they're involved in. And that's where they kind of shine. It's kind of like teachers, like, you have a teacher who's like I don't know, they're a math teacher, but they're only a math teacher because they have to be. And then their passion is, coaching.
Yeah.
Like when they get into the environment where they're actually coaching and doing that, that's where they excel. I think it's the same thing for
I could agree with that too. I mean, sure. And then there's a lot of therapists that specialize with, like, family trauma or, like, drug abuse, stuff like that. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure. I think yes. I think then it helps. What's it called? It helps give that person that thing that you were talking about, that experience, like that you were saying, so that they could relate and maybe pull something out of the person that didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. I'm gonna flip the topic here a little bit, because we did stay on that for a little bit. Let me ask you, why should I change the way I live so that you feel comfortable?
You shouldn't.
I shouldn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why the fuck does the left make you want to do that so badly? Why is that so bad? Like, everything we hear now is literally just, hey, you, American citizen, I want you to change everything about your life because this guy over here doesn't agree with it.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because they can control the way you think, if they can do that.
And what happens if they control the way you think?
Simple as that.
And what happens if they control the way you think, Dana?
they can make you think whatever they want you to think. And they have full
Exactly.
control over you.
Exactly. And then you have kids, and you think that the world that you live in, that you grew up in, is truth. You think it's real because it's all you know. Because everything else has been snuffed out. You created this little bubble of yours. And the thing is your government supported it. So now you believe this little bubble of yours is perfect. As soon as somebody challenges that little bubble of yours, night and fucking day, hell, you become the devil. And that's a big problem. I'm very, very critical about how I live my life. I'm very critical about the things that I do in my life. If I decide I want to do something, I'm going to do something. I have that right. Okay? I hate when people tell me what to do with my life. And I especially hate when the government of a free nation tells me what I should do with my life. So, Dana, a couple of things. We mentioned this a lot in the past. We mentioned a lot of these things that the left like to do is they like taking these social issues and making them political issues to try to trick people into voting for their party. And that's what they've been doing. So do you think, now to kind of wrap everything and make a nice little bow, do you think that by them changing the way that you're living your life, making men weaker, that they're trying to really, really push this stuff now because of the 2024 election and where Biden's been polling with everybody? Because if you've seen, the more diverse the state, the lower Biden is in the gap, or the higher the gap. Trump is ahead more. So what do you think about that? Like, do you think that they're really going to try to push now these next couple of months, like, wrong, toxic, male, screw you, bigot? Do you think we're going to see a lot of that now?
I don't know if we'll see more of that than we've already been seeing. It's been all over the place anyways.
More volume, though, because I feel like towards election time is usually when we really start to see the big things happen.
I think we're already in that season anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got the debates going on. We've already got talk of polling and all that stuff. I think it's already happening. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. I don't think it's anything that crazy. I mean, it already is crazy. It doesn't need to be more crazy than it already is. So, yeah, I'm not really drawing a line to that. I could be totally desensitized to it at this point, though. That there's so much of it.
There is. There really is.
We've seen this whole thing pretty much from the start, before the world turned into clown world. Yeah, we grew up with this, man.
We did grow up with this. We did, and I think it's very surprising that we still ended up, realizing, and that just means that our parents did the right thing raising us. You know what I mean?
Well, not only that, but I was gonna say we knew what it was like before this.
Yeah.
You and I have lived long enough to where we've seen the before and the after of introducing wokeism. And this progressive agenda into the world. I mean, it's been happening for many years now, but like the last 20 years, I mean, we started and I saw normal life, and then I saw us just shoot off the deep end.
Yeah.
After, once Obama got in.
It's
boom,
there's a lot of weird
downhill,
scary things, Chad. I'm talking like I'm on live. There's a lot of weird and scary things, guys. I mean, really, seriously. And the stuff that's happening in our world, even weird and scarier, and goes back hundreds of years to even try to explain it. So I can't even try to explain it. Dana knows. I explained it to Dana. I had like a great 2-hour conversation with him, guys. No context whatsoever. I'm just letting you know. Dana and I had a great 2-hour conversation one time. I broke Dana for like a little bit after that.
Oh, that conversation. Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, it's just, guys, I mean, you gotta be
one day we will be one day we will be at the point where we can share that conversation.
Yeah. One day we will be at that point. Until that day, though, you guys could just keep speculating. Keep speculating. I want you to
keep watching T-Talk.
And keep watching T-Talk. And comment, like, subscribe. Guys, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We we need it. We love it. We appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Share with your friends, family. coworkers, anyone you know.
I'm just going through
If you
to
like what
see
we
if
talk
I missed
about.
anything. Did you hear my phone fall?
Yep.
Was it loud?
Yeah.
So people
Not
kept
bad.
calling me, like my mom was calling me, right? So that's why I picked up the phone and tried to throw it on my bed. Instead, it hit the side of the bed and then hit the loudest part of the thing on the ground. It didn't miss the loudest part of the ground. No, it hits the loudest part of the ground.
At least it didn't hit your mic.
It did not hit my mic. It did not. I hit my mic a couple times, I think.
All right, well.
But besides that, do you have anything else you want to cover today?
No.
Alrighty. Well, guys, we love each and every single one of you guys. This has been episode 23, brought to you by DriftinThreads.com. Use code TTALK for 10% off at checkout. We hope you guys did like it. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and we read all of your comments. Join the Discord. That link is going to be in the description. You guys are the best. You guys are the reason why we do this. Be your own free thinkers. We love you guys. Goodbye.